Hello and welcome to the latest edition of Auto and Operator, covering the Mid-Ohio IndyCar race, the Honda Indy 200. What a great track, what a great event, and what a great race. Let's be honest, the track itself, Mid-Ohio, is pretty small. And while, yes, it is small as in total length, pushing a lap time of around a minute, it's also very small in width. This track was designed for sports cars, and let's be honest, sports cars used to be really small. If you want a good comparison, go to a Cars and Coffee, and you'll probably see a couple M3s there if you're in a reasonable area, and you'll see an old M3, like a E30 M3, for example, and then you might see, a 2016 M3 right next to each other, and the difference is staggering. And that is a good illustration as to why tracks are the size that they are. If it weren't for Premier Motorsports back then, it wouldn't have even been as wide as it is, now. Bottom line, what I'm getting at, it's a tight track, and we saw an incredible amount of overtaking at this course. And really awesome overtakes, exciting overtakes. And only one yellow, and I don't think it should have been yellow, but that's my typical yellow attitude. But either way, the right winner came out of it, Josef Newgarden. Let's get right into the start here. Good start, nice and clean. Not a huge amount of excitement. A couple people were forced off line into the dirt, made it for a little bit exciting, a little thrilling. But ultimately, top 3 or 4 didn't change. But immediately, all you needed is like a half a lap, and you saw that Josef and Will were in a class of their own. They started pulling away from the pack. About 13 laps into the race, Josef Newgarden pulls off a pretty sweet pass. Mid-Ohio is a great event. There's lots of fans everywhere. But after that long, sweeping straight, there's a bunch of fans there, and they saw a sick pass. Absolutely sick. Josef Newgarden was telling Will that he was going to be on the outside the whole straight. And as soon as Will Power got into the braking zone, Josef just chucked it to the inside. He was on the far left, he went to the far right, and he did it in a split second right before he hit the braking zone. And he dove right up the inside. Power had nothing. He couldn't do anything about it. He totally got sniffed. He got just smoked. So heck of a pass. I always read the Robin Miller mailbag. Usually it just annoys me and gets me all frustrated for no reason. But one of the fans wrote in that her and her partner or friend thought that pass compared to Alex Zanardi's the pass at Laguna. Yet in terms of shock value, I would say yeah. Broadcast they cut to it sort of late. They cut to it at the actual pass. It's different when you're showing the battle live, and then all of a sudden you see it. It's more shocking then. We had to see a replay, and then we saw just how ballsy Josef Newgarden was. So for that reason, I disagreed that it wasn't as awesome as a pass, because that initial thrill wasn't there, like Alex Zanardi passing Herta at Laguna. Moving on, shortly after, Rossi and HunterReay clipped. HunterReay, he was up the inside, but he wasn't Josef Newgarden on Will Power up the inside. Meaning that Rossi could have not even seen him. I'm not sure how side by side they got on the straightaway, but Rossi would have given room if he was legitimately there, and he was, but it's Rossi. He's not gonna just hand over a position, and HunterReay ended up just sort of having his nose in there barely. And just a little love tap, and he spun it, which is too bad. HunterReay got a decent result. Where did he end up? Yeah, he ended up 8th, and he almost I mean, that was early on in the race, so I think he went all the way to the back, or at least close to it, because that's a tight section. He couldn't just get going right away. He had to do a half donut and get going. So it's unfortunate for Andretti Autosport that happened. At least it wasn't a yellow. At least they both weren't taken out of it. Rossi ended up with a solid finish in 6th. He didn't have the race pace I was hoping for. I'm not sure what his deal was, but I was excited to see him fight up there with Penske and Graham, but he just didn't seem to have the pace, and part of that was that little contact there. But I mean, he could have had an issue I didn't know about, but it's a good result for Rossi, and the guy needs to win races because I know he can. That's what's frustrating. I'm a Rossi fan. I want him to be more of a prominent winner. But right now, Josef Newgarden he's going to win the championship. I'm calling it now. He just took the lead with 2 wins. He's got a couple natural road courses to go. Honda's going to give him Penske in general, and all Chevys a run for their money at Pocono, of course. McHale might be fast again for once. But Will Power won that last year. So who knows? But Josef Newgarden, I'm calling it now. I think he's going to win it. He's got too many things going his way. And honestly, I don't know what'll happen because, Pagenaud is going to look like yesterday's trash, honestly, if Josef Newgarden just comes in here first year, wins it, doesn't need the adaptation year. It's a little bit different in Pagenaud's because he was sort of out of the car. He was in sports cars. He had experience with Honda prior, but then he came back. So, it's a little bit weird or a little bit different for Pagenaud. I could understand his adjustment year more, and he did dominate last year. He really kicked some butt. But, man, it's amazing just with Josef on the team. He's looking like yesterday's breakfast. So, but it will be very exciting to see how that turns out. Moving on quickly. Power and Rahal had some good battles throughout the day. A couple of close calls, some good racing there. I wanted to get onto lapped cars. Should they get out of the way? Honestly, I think so. I think they should be able to fight to stay on the lead lap. So that means Josef has to actually battle to get around him to lap the car. But I think once he's lapped, I think they should just sort of chill out. I think they should sort of get out of Dodge and not like throw themselves off the track to get around them, but like when they're all over them, like for example, don't use push to pass. Now Rahal was complaining during the race. If you watch the IndyCar remix, he was complaining that Munoz was on push to pass, and he's a lap car. Now I don't think that's right. Like just like let the people that are on the lead lap use push to pass if they desire to get around the person. And they don't have to throw themselves off the track, but they shouldn't have to, go extremely out of their way in that they have to literally use up all their strength, all their tires to get around these people. That's something I think could be addressed. Ed Jones with a rare mistake. He just spun it, is what it looked like. Just spun it. It's too bad. He hasn't had the best last couple races, so I hope he could rebound. For Dale Coyne, he's got to be in the series next year, so I hope he comes back. And again, with the passing issue, we come to the restart after Ed Jones' spin, and Gutierrez was told by Dale Coyne to try and get his lap back if he thought he could. Excuse me. Problem with that, he's in between Josef and Will. Now, if you wanted racing to happen, you should have told Gutierrez to get out of the way. That's bottom line. Piggott pitted. He was in between them during the yellow, then he pitted. But I understand. But the problem is he just never had the pace all day. I mean, he was either last or next to last. So I think at that point, Newgarden's in front. Just let it go. Gutierrez cycled to the back. But let's be honest. Gutierrez, as soon as the restart happened, let's be honest. Gutierrez did not hold up power. Power had nothing on Josef Newgarden. Because, if you notice, from aerials, as soon as we got closer to when Gutierrez had to pit, you saw that there was a legitimate gap in between Gutierrez and Will Power. And that is not because Gutierrez was there. It's because Power couldn't keep up. That's the reality. So, yes, while it was initially a buffer, and Power could have attacked, that first corner on the restart, first lap or so, I mean, he did fall back. Ultimately, he didn't have the pace. And I know that because Josef Newgarden at one point had a 10-second lead, or near 10 seconds. It's like, okay, you're not going anywhere with this guy. So even if, provided Gutierrez wasn't even there, provided Will Power got past him on the first lap, Josef would have gotten him back. It was Joseph's day. It was awesome. He definitely deserved it. That being said, can't wait for Pocono. It's coming up in a couple weeks. Please comment. Let us know what you think of the podcast, and have a good day. See ya.